Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. Today we'll be answering the question, how can I find a financial planner I can trust? When it comes to finding a financial planner, we're going to discuss 4 areas that I think will help you narrow down what's going to be most important for you. When you ask these questions of yourself and you find the answers through the interview process, you will then be more comfortable when it comes to, is this someone that I can see myself working with long term? Does this make sense for me in my financial goals? And will it be in my benefit, right? Like, would I leave my dog with this person for the week, or would I let them watch my kid if I had to run to the bathroom? Whatever bar that you want to use. I've even heard it where people will say, is it someone that I can have a beer with? Yeah, I guess that works maybe in politics a little more than financial planning, but to each their own. So whatever the question is that you need to know the answer to, you'll be able to say, okay, I can trust this person. And we'll talk about 4 areas when it comes to explaining that. Most entrepreneurs and families worry about money, so we created the Wisdomites framework to help you eradicate financial stress, generate a passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy. So when I'm answering the question, hey, do I trust this person? I usually start there, right? When you're not talking about just financial planning or really anything, right? A lawyer, a CPA, accountant, whatever professional that you're looking to add to your team, I think it really starts with just how do you define your ability to trust someone just regardless of profession. And more times than not, when you're talking about trusting someone, I think it's important to look at yourself as the CEO of your family. And so when you're talking about a financial planner, then you'll be saying, okay, what will I need for me to trust this person as the CFO of my company? And when you're talking about hiring a CFO of your company, there's going to be several aspects that you would want to discuss and that you'll want to really dive into and make sure that you are on the same page. And so it normally starts with honesty. You really have to have someone that prioritizes honesty above most things. And then the second would be knowledge. And I'm going to talk about both of them together because I do think that they go together. You can't really have someone who's knowledgeable but not honest, because then they're going to use the information that they know about the industry and finances and investments and things like that to make a very complicated situation for you, to where you won't be able to tell whether or not it's in your best interest or not, whether you're making money or they're making money, or whether they're, sort of making things seem like it's going well, but maybe they don't really feel like it's going well for you. There's lots of reasons that having someone who's knowledgeable, while that is good on one end, where it's not exactly beneficial because they're not honest. And then the opposite is also true, right? Having someone who's very honest, while that is admirable, you're still trying to achieve this financial freedom, which means that they have to have some sort of knowledge. If they call you every week and they explain to you why your account isn't making any money and why things are going really bad, like, you really appreciate that information. Hey, thank you for sharing that with me. But does that help you with your ultimate result, the goal that you're trying to get to? And I would say no. So you need someone who is both honest and knowledgeable about the industry. If you have both of them, then the person's using their knowledge and information and understanding to put a plan together for you, your needs, to help you accomplish your goals and your dreams. If you just have someone who's focusing on one or the other, it's just really not going to work for you. Now, I will say, if you had to choose between the two, that you would make honesty like number one. I do think that even when I'm listing off the rest of the list, that you'll find that the aspect of honesty and someone prioritizing that feeds very well into everything else when it comes to you finding a financial advisor who you can trust. Because ultimately, when you look at the news and you see different articles and you see stories about people like Bernie Madoff, who was taking billions of dollars from hardworking people, and these people were working for decades, planning to retire, and then they get to that point in their life, and then they find out that there's like nothing there. And so I do agree and understand that honesty should be number one, but you shouldn't sacrifice knowledge for honesty. And what I mean is, ultimately, you should be able to find someone who is both honest and knowledgeable, that you shouldn't sacrifice either of them. But naturally, you want to be comfortable with someone. We all want to be with someone that we know, like, and trust. And so that starts with us having an honest and open dialogue. That leads us pretty nicely into number 3, which is they need to be able to build meaningful relationships. When you're looking at the people around them, if someone is going to, learn about other people, maybe you say, hey, what kind of clients do you have? What kind of people do you typically work with? Could I speak to a client or two just to see maybe their experiences, how they feel about things? People should be open about this. If you want to have a meaningful relationship, then that means that you should be able to kind of meet other people. As we've always told our kids, right? You show me who you hang out with, and I can tell you something about yourself. So it becomes very clear and evident that if someone is in a certain, group of people and these people share certain values, then most likely your financial planner has to share those same values. And so examples are, studies show that someone who is honest, that they have very little tolerance for liars. It's just something that bothers them to the point that they can't be around them. Someone who is able to be around liars, well, that means that they have at least some sort of an understanding or maybe some sort of patience level that may be something that would be worth you exploring. You find that people with the values that we have, we attract people who match those values. And that's why it's very important. And you guys already know, when you're dealing with like your kids and different people, you always are making sure, who are they hanging out with? Are these people trying to aspire for the same aspects of life that I'm hoping that my kids are trying to go for? The same is true with adults and businesses. If you're a business owner and you join a mastermind group with other business owners, well, that's going to benefit you. You guys are going to be creating synergies and be able to work together and be able to solve problems together. And really, even when you're talking about like college and school, if you're in a certain study group, then it makes sense that everybody is sort of working for at least you would think at least maybe the same grades, but ideally in the same concentration. If you have these meaningful relationships, if you're building them and you're attracting the right people because you're in sync with each other, because you are being honest and forthright, well, that all speaks to the type of relationship, whether you can trust the person, right? And that's why recommendations end up being so important. That's why referrals end up being so important, because if we have a certain view of our friends and they work with this person, well, that usually is a sign that maybe I would enjoy working with that person. But at the same time, it doesn't always work that way because our goals can be a little bit different. But at least at the highest level, you just want to be able to say, what kind of people do you work with? What kind of relationships do you have? How do you prioritize these relationships? Are you building long-term relationships? Are you checking in? Or are you just trying to get people in and then you're just trying to get the buck and then you move on to the next project? You want to be able to say that this person is building, meaningful and decent relationships. If you have any additional questions about retirement planning, I do invite you to check out my free Retirement Planning That Works video training at obsidianwisdom.com/training. In it, I give you the entire wisdometric framework that I use with my clients to help them eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy. Which leads us pretty nicely into the very last one, number 4, which is just, what is their legacy? Like, what are we trying to do? William Shakespeare says, no legacy is so rich as honesty. And it is a beautiful thought when you live a certain life and you're being forthright and you've kind of put everything out where people know exactly where you stand on things, and then you've built a life based on that. People respect that a lot. And so when you're talking about building a certain legacy, what is it that you're passionate about? What is it that that drives you? Why would someone want to be in the service-based industry? Are they there to make money? Or are they there to serve? Ideally, they would be there to serve. What is it that drives them and motivates them? What is it that they want to see better in the world? If someone is just in a business because they're looking for the money, it ends up being not a long-term desire. And you're in this business, or at least you're looking for someone in this business that has a long-term interest in helping others succeed, helping others achieve whatever financial freedom looks like in their life. Freedom is ultimately what we're all looking for. When you have freedom of choice and how you want to live your life, it leads to a happiness and progress because you're able to spend your time achieving certain goals that mean a lot to you. And so the same should be true with your financial planner. What is it that motivates them? What is it that excites them, wakes them up each day? How is it that they want to be remembered? And when you're answering these questions, are they living that life? Are they mirroring what it is that they say is important to them? Do they devote their time in a way that helps you to feel like, hey, you know what? This person does have a passion for helping others. They're not just in this in a drive-by night where they're going to be here this year and they're going to be gone next year. And they invest in themselves. They are so passionate about this that they spend the time to get the education, to get the certifications, whatever it is, to help them build that knowledge, because they understand, for me to help others, I have to be able to, improve myself. Things are constantly changing, and I have to stay ahead of this if I'm going to be able to provide the best service for my clients, for their dreams, and how they want to live their life with their goals. And so when you're thinking about these things, these are all questions and areas that you would be thinking about when you're having that conversation, where you say, you know what, I trust that person. I feel very comfortable and confident that they are looking out for my best interest, that they want to make the world a better place, and that they're not trying to just take advantage and make the life better for them, but they want to have a legacy, something that they're proud of, something that they could share with their kids, something that we don't have to duck each other when we're in the store, where we can answer the phone every time we call because we have that good of a relationship. And so when you're deciding, how do I find an advisor I can trust, that would be the places that I would start. Realistically, those are ways that you can find just people that you trust. I find that the most important thing when you have honesty and you're building trust as a foundation is you're going to be surrounded by a very interesting group of people, because you're not really looking for people to be compliant and just a yes person, but you're looking for people who are true and authentic to themselves. And when you are someone who's building trust, you end up with a wide range of people, because if authenticity is all that, is number one on the list, it's not, obviously, you're not going to be surrounded by people who are authentic in their hate for a different group, but they're authentic in what their passions are. And then you're like, you know what, I can understand that. I can appreciate that. These are what my passions are. These are what drives me. These are what I believe would make the world a better place. Well, you'll want to be around people like that, because you will push each other to be better, and you don't have to worry where are we at? Do you like me? Do you not like me? Are you mad at me? Are you being passive aggressive? It's just you know what? I know that you're going to be a straight shooter with me. You're going to let me know where we're at, and it's going to make our relationship that much more beautiful. And obviously, when you're being honest and it's surrounded with love and passion, that ends up being much better to be a long-term relationship, where you're trying to be with someone for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. These are the type of things that you will look for in that relationship. Until next time, Wisdomites, remember, wisdom is asking the right questions to allow yourself to get the right answers. Keep asking those questions and you will keep getting those answers. Continue blessings.